Zenless has been out for almost 2 years now. I have been following the development of this game and its community quite closely since its original release back in version 1.0. Despite its mixed launch reception, I was one of the people to immediately fall in love with the game's mechanics, characters, lore, and designs. I probably wasn't very good back then, though I always enjoyed playing it. Fast forward to the game's second season, however, and you'd never guess any of that was true at all. To an outsider looking in, I was just another annoying hater of the game that refused to give any chances to whatever the game decided to release. A hater for the love of the game. It's hard to imagine why I was even playing. Eventually, I completely stepped away from the game. At least, for a while. So, what happened? It is of no doubt that Zenless had made more bad than good decisions since its release. However, that alone shouldn't have been enough to sway me to such disdain of the game. For a long time, I wasn't even really sure what made me sour on the game so much. Sure, you could point to the changes of shield defense, which removed a lot of the routing I really enjoyed, or blame it on the excessively bad releases of deadly assault bosses, or even the absurd increases of enemy health levels. And while I'm sure that all played some part in it, Shiyu and Deadly Assault had seen a steady decline all the way back in version 2.0 already. Yet, I still kept playing and occasionally did have fun. So what did make me stop? During my time off from Zenless, I went to do other things. Found new hobbies, revisited old ones. I was really enjoying myself. Eventually, one question found its way into my mind. What made me enjoy games in the first place? The answer seemed quite simple initially. Well, it's because they're fun. Or at least, they're supposed to be fun. But what is fun to me? There are many things that I find fun, ranging from improving my own mechanics and difficult challenges, to going really fast, or simply wanting to immerse myself in another world. In the case of ZZZ, however, it's always been about speed, precision, and challenging gameplay. Although what is perhaps most important to me is being able to express myself. And when I say express myself, I don't necessarily just mean any character with high skill expression. For I personally don't actually like the normal definition of skill expression, though that's a can of worms that could honestly get its own video. What I mean by expressing myself is being able to play the game in a way that really shows that I am the one who is playing. I can look back at this gameplay and think, yep, that's me right there. You can tell that I'm the one playing. I did that. If you've been watching my channel, you probably know me as the Harumasa guy. Or maybe even the Hugo guy. If you've known me for a long time, you'll know me as the Monoshock guy. If you've known me for a really long time, you might even know me as the Billy guy. And if you've known me for a really long time, you might know me as the Linny guy or the Tartaglia guy. Bottom line, I'm a lot of guys. Wait, no, that's the wrong line. What I mean to say is that there's always been a sort of identity to me in these games. I naturally gravitate towards a niche and stick with it, choosing to develop it as much as I can and make it the best that it can be. I played Harumasa Monoshock for over 8 months before I truly believed I mastered the team and brought it to its peak. Every single development I made with that team is compiled in a playlist titled Monoshock Showcases, which at this point has a ton of entries, despite me not really playing the team that much anymore recently. On top of that, I wrote an entire Bible on the team. You should check it out, actually. It's like kind of funny at some points. I've gotten pretty good reviews on it. Anyway, it's discontinued though, so you know, kind of unfortunate. Anyway, I'm also a big fan of simple, fundamental game mechanics like dodge parries, or I guess assist counters as they're referred to in-game, or the use of anomalies and disorders when playing agents that have no business using them. I have always loved walking my own path with Zenless Zone Zero. However, as of late, I noticed that I've really dulled on my experience with the game. Sure, a lot of recent enemy and endgame design is genuinely awful, but even beyond the bad content, there's just something lacking. To be honest, I wasn't sure what it was for a long time. I was playing characters I enjoy, like Harumasa and Hugo, sometimes even more niche characters like Billy or Monato. but in the end, it still felt stale. Was it just burnout? Even from units that I barely played? No. In that moment of thought, the answer finally hit me. It was Stockholm Syndrome! I'm kidding, no, I'm half joking. Let me explain. In Stockholm Syndrome, the victim starts feeling loyalty toward the person who abused him or her, and in some cases, starts to have feelings for the person. Now this is obviously exaggerated because truthfully I just wanted to include Stockholm Syndrome in the script, but what I'm trying to get at is this. My distaste and general apathy towards Zenless weren't because of something that I disliked, but rather because of something I did like. Something I wasn't supposed to like. Something that went against not only my own personal motivations and philosophies when it comes to enjoying this game, but was actively harmful to them. Something, someone, one of my favorite characters. The problem was Dialyn. In Zenless version 2.4, Dialyn was released as a physical stun agent. She had a truly groundbreaking performance across all content, vastly outperforming virtually every stunner, sometimes even lighter in his own niche, despite her being a significantly more generalist support than he is. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. I was actually one of Dialyn's biggest fans, even before she released. When we first saw her design in a trailer for a brief moment, I loved the concept. She looked like a Zenless take on a yin-yang aesthetic, only it was actually good this time. I immediately liked her, and even hand-drew her on my notepad. I call other content creators on stream purely to talk about Dialyn. Also that Yafan Linging meme was pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. I really like this character. Dialyn's kit was very basic. You press E, then you press it again, and then you press it again. Congratulations, you have successfully applied every buff that Dialyn has to offer. The biggest thing about Dialyn, however, wasn't just the buffs you provided by pressing E 3 times. Oh no, there's something much bigger attached to this character, and it's got to do with this meter over here. Once full, if Dialyn triggers a chain attack in a specific way, she can consume this meter to convert a chain attack into an ultimate. This was a massively powerful ability, and is the reason she's the best character in the game right now. Dialyn's release quickly took over the game's meta. The floor was massively raised for virtually every team in the game, with some exceptions, and boss health began rapidly inflating the moment she came out. However, I am not here to complain about HP inflation, nor am I here to complain about game balancing. Yes, it's true, those are problems that have become more apparent than ever as of late, but they aren't the problem for me personally. As I mentioned, Dialyn is massively strong. It's also one of my favorite characters. So then, how come she's the main problem that has led to my burnout from the game? Remember how I mentioned Dialyn can convert a chain attack into an ultimate? Let me introduce you to the death of stun combos. Because of how Dialyn's chained ultimate conversion worked, it made for the most severe case of streamlined combos I have maybe ever seen in a Hoyoverse game. You can point to Genshin teams degrading to E-swap, 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 EQ mash, and in a lot of cases you'd be right. But at least in Genshin, every now and then you'll have characters that need to be played in a certain way to actually perform. When I say Dialyn killed stun combos, I mean it. Every single Dialyn combo is the exact same. You open stun in whatever way your carry usually would, you convert a chain into a DPS ultimate, then you use your chain that still remains, and then your decibel ultimate. If you're really feeling spicy, you can swap around the order of these things, but there is genuinely zero depth to Dialyn combos. You could point towards triple ultimate combos, where you spent extra Dialyn meter to use another ultimate. But I'd once again like to reiterate that all of them work the exact same way, regardless of what carry you are playing. As you may or may not know, I am first and foremost a Harumasa main. Some might say even the best one. Or at least I like to think so. Do people still believe that? Do people ever believe that? I hope so, man. I love combos. Performing a satisfying stun combo, not just on Harumasa, but on any character in general, feels satisfying and rewarding. What I enjoy even more is combo variety and improvisation. Different ways to play the same stun depending on how you enter it. Dialyn, however, has practically zero combo variance. You either use your ultimate point or you don't. In which case you might as well not even use the character in the first place. Somewhat recently, I came up with a concept for Harumasa's best team, Dialyn Yuzuha, also known as Prank Call. And while I do still think that team has plenty of room for optimization, almost none of that optimization comes from Dialyn. It comes from Yuzuha. And this is where I'm going to transition into the next problem with Dialyn. The game plan. Earlier I mentioned that to play Dialyn, you have to press E 3 times. That's not even an oversimplification. That is genuinely it. The only extra thing that you can do is press E more times to stun faster. You can also mash E and dash at the same time to use those EXs ever so slightly faster. Riveting. The strongest character in the entire game simply requires you to press E 3 times, and then hold the mouse button once to allow you access to the best buffing this game has to offer. That is all you have to do. If you look at virtually any other character, with the exception of Lucia, because she's honestly even worse, in this game, all of them require you to do something at least somewhat meaningful to reap benefits from their buffs. Nicole requires constant attention to her energy and low buff uptime, frequent swaps, and often also keeping an eye on her anomaly buildup depending on the team. Astra is a very simple support, but at the very least you still need to kind of pay attention to your quick assist usage, else your buff can actually drop off and you will be punished for it. Oh, but R2, those are supports, and Dialyn is a stunner. Yeah, let's look at stunners. Lycon is a great stunner with good dazing abilities and strong buffs. However, to use these buffs, you have to fulfill certain conditions, such as making sure he's the one to trigger stun, or remembering to quick swap him in at the very beginning of stun for his damage multiplier, or remembering to use his EX and assist follow-up periodically so that his buff doesn't fall off. His daze also isn't for free. If you neglect the Lycon slot of your team, your stun speed will suffer greatly. These are all fairly simple things, but there are things that need to be done. They exist. There are many ways to play Lycon, and you are actively rewarded for pursuing new and inventive ways to use them. Lighter is, in my opinion, the best designed kit in the game. His additional condition leaves something to be desired, sure, but he's clearly got an intended niche in which he greatly excelled in. There are also quite a few things that go into how to spend Lighter's morale to ensure your buff is actually strong. If you mismanage morale usage, you are punished for it, and if you manage it properly, you are rewarded. Chingy may seem like a simple kit for casual players, but even something as simple as having to use her enhanced basic attack twice adds some level of planning to your gameplay. In conjunction with Harumasa, you've also got to pay attention to your anomaly buildup now, and you've already got a much more compelling character to play. Dude, even Pulchra needs to be played a certain way to actually do something. Pulchra, bro! Dialyn's effort to results ratio is simply way off. Can you be punished for playing Dialyn wrong? Yeah, sure, but it'll boil down to, oh, you pressed E to slow here, so her hand sign reset. Wow, golly gee, what a big obstacle I need to overcome here. Her gameplay loop is far too simple to be enjoyable, and on top of that, she dumbs down stun rotations to a severe degree. All of these problems were things I didn't even notice originally. I was just happy to use a new character in my teams, and scoring really well for a change. But the more I played, the more I felt a sense of emptiness, a lack of dopamine, a lack of fun. I eventually came to the realization that the character I loved so much was the very thing keeping me from doing the things that I loved so much in this game. The flashy stun rotations, the extensive out-of-stun routing, the utilization of off-meta compositions to try and push them to their maximum. By simply playing what was comfortable, I subconsciously left those things behind. By simply playing what was strong, I subconsciously left those things behind. By simply playing Dialyn, I subconsciously left those things behind. This video isn't an I hate Dialyn video. It's not a video of me trying to tell you she's always been a terrible character and I should have never liked her in the first place. No. This video is closer to a personal diagnosis of what it means to me to enjoy playing ZZZ. Rhyme not intended. And my idea of fun simply does not synergize with the things Dialyn has to offer. Sometimes the things that hurt us most are the ones we least expect. I still really like Dialyn, However, it is clear that I cannot continue to use this character while still enjoying this game to the fullest. And thus, I am officially banning the use of my Dialyn from endgame content. I will likely never use this character again, unless I have exhausted all other existing options and physically cannot obtain the rewards that I want. I refuse to ever use this character again. Instead, using to play other teams, to offer me a greater range of variety in both gameplay fun and challenges.
She's great for daily farming though, so I'm still gonna use her there, baby!